Welcome to the first ever In Times Like These recap. If you're watching this, you either want to catch up on this series as quick as possible, or you just want to relive the wild moments that you witnessed. Either way, you are welcome here. Now let's get into this. 20 years ago, Elvira Russo lost her life in her family estate. Unfortunately, her nephew Ben found her. Since finding your aunt on the floor is traumatizing, especially for a 5-year-old, life was not easy for Ben growing up. I'll get back to Ben and his childhood trauma later. 20 years later, which is present day, the Dorval family, headed by Haitian immigrant Raymond Dorval, moved to Valley Park since his son Jeremiah has been finding great success with his HVAC company. Jeremiah is joined by his wife Shelly and their 2 kids, JJ and Vanessa, who don't really find moving to Valley Park to be a huge success. Let me start with Vanessa. She's the older sibling and she befriends Yulissa Torres, but Yulissa's sister Nichelle isn't feeling Vanessa at all. Let me be blunt, Nichelle doesn't like Vanessa one bit. Do you know who does like Vanessa though? Max Russo, who is Ben Russo's younger brother. Max tries to shoot his shot, but Vanessa blocks it because the two aren't equally yoked. As for Max, he asks what eggs have to do with anything. Vanessa explains to him time and time again that she is a born-again Christian, faith-based salvation, and she has no interest in being with Max, who is a Catholic, which Vanessa explains is a religious institution based on salvation through works. Despite Vanessa being hard to get, Max doesn't seem to be getting the message and is willing to accept the challenge. As for JJ, he is having his own issues of hearing sounds of laughter that no one else can hear, and these sounds of laughter don't exist. But he doesn't know that because he hears them clear as day, since these sounds of laughter is plaguing his mind. JJ is oblivious to the fact that his new friend Keeve has a thing for Vanessa as well. But Keeve has some concerning tendencies about his quote-unquote infatuations with Vanessa. Let's get off of the creepy part and let's jump to the newfound friends of the Dorval family, which are the Torres family. Devontae is the head of the family and he runs the biggest business in Valley Park, Florida, which is Theodosius's Palace. Since he and his wife Isabel are Dominican, he jokes with Jeremiah about them being enemies. But why would you say something like that to someone you don't even know? The Dorval family decided to put that distasteful joke to the side and made the choice to go into business with Devontae. Business might be booming for Devontae, but his family life isn't really booming. In fact, it's torn since his oldest son is nowhere to be seen, not even a picture is shown, and said deuces to Valley Park for some odd, mysterious reason that might not be revealed in the future. At least Devontae and Isabel have 2 other kids who are still in town. Nichelle meets Zeke Franklin, who's the younger brother of Quinlan, who I'll discuss later on in the video. Zeke explains to Nichelle that Quinlan's name ain't even Quinlan. Their mama just named her Quinn. The thing is that Zeke and Quinlan's mama ain't in the picture either for some odd, mysterious reason that might not be revealed in the future. Nichelle can't seem to keep her mind and even her eyes off of Zeke. Yulissa notices this, reminding her older sister that she doesn't even know Zeke. The problem is that Nichelle tells her sister how she's tripping and that Zeke's not such a bad guy. Except Zeke is a drug dealer. He's the plug. He's a pusher. Nichelle doesn't know this, but she believes that Zeke has a good personality and he seems to like her too. Before I discuss Elvira's family, I gotta discuss her relationships before her life was violently taken away from her. Back in the day, Elvira dated Udell Mitchell, but something happened in their relationship where Udell was done with her and ended up with Elvira's best friend Wanda after Elvira passed on. Even after 20 years where Udell is now the CEO of his family's law firm and Wanda is the CEO of the company she founded, Confidence Designs, they have a teenage daughter named Yvette who has a reputation of sleeping around and not for slumber parties. And Wanda feels like the Russo family are still bitter at her for marrying Udell when Elvira had him first. Udell tries to tell Wanda how she's stressing over nothing, and she eventually, really reluctantly, admits that she is stressing over nothing. But she's got something else to stress about since someone made this realistic AI image of her posing provocatively, like she's Lil' Kim and has no respect for herself. Yet Wanda does respect herself, feels like this fake photo has tarnished her company, and is ready to make whoever created that disgusting photo of her pay. Heidi Russo married into the Russo family, who are owners of a jewelry company. Heidi gave her husband Gianni 2 sons, who I've mentioned, Ben and Max. Not only do you have a son who wants nothing to do with you or the family, but you have a husband who's angry at his brother Isidore, who once dated Isabel Torres, but Devante prides himself in the fact that he swept Isabel off of her feet and rubs it in whenever he gets a chance, which Isabel dislikes. Now, Isidore stole Gianni's idea of creating a nursing scholarship in their dead sister's name because Gianni's nephew Alan hears about this idea and tells his father Isidore to take it because it would gain favor with Gianni and Isidore's grief-stricken parents Lorenzo and Clarice. Isidore and Dr. Terry Burke, who is the chief of staff at Valley Park Memorial Hospital, announced their quote-unquote plans to make a scholarship in Elvira's name, but Gianni tells Isidore, "You scumbag, that was my idea." Except Isidore's like, "I don't care. It's my idea now." Now Heidi has to deal with her husband's nagging about how bitter he is about what Isidore did and that he wants to make him pay. Yet Gianni is upset at Heidi for not being present when Isidore and Terry announced that they stole his idea. The reason why Heidi wasn't present was because she was met by Terry's husband, the police commissioner Finnegan, who, before Finnegan was married to Terry, had an affair with Heidi 20 years ago while she was still married to Gianni. Now Finnegan is feeling nostalgic, wanting to do the nasty with Heidi again. Heidi is adamant that she's not a nasty girl anymore. After 20 years, she had another son, she's district attorney, and she's trying to make her marriage work with her husband. Despite all of that, Finnegan kisses Heidi, making it hard for Heidi to get the kiss off of her mind. She confronts Finnegan, who believes that Heidi came back for more than a kiss, and tells him that she is not a nasty girl anymore. The problem is that Finnegan, who is still a nasty boy, tells Heidi that he'll be waiting for her whenever she feels like a nasty girl again. Heidi had a sister-in-law named Elvira, the younger sister of Gianni and Isidore. Elvira was mentioned earlier in this recap. Her nephew Ben was 5 years old at the time when he found her. 20 years have passed by, and those 20 years were filled with sadness, bitterness, confusion, so many emotions, all wrapped in one. Because his family can be toxic, he decided to skip the picnic honoring Elvira's birthday. But his grandmother Clarice kindly pleaded with him to just stop by because of his love for his aunt. While Ben is at the picnic, he's approached by Zeke's older sister Quinlan, who's a reporter for Global News Press. She's producing a documentary on Elvira's case and would like to get Ben's perspective on it since he's a private investigator and all. At first he's like, screw the media. But walking around the picnic, he notices tension between those who crossed paths with Elvira 20 years ago. He was too far to hear the secrets and bent up anger that was spilled, even though we still don't know what secret Terry and Isidore are keeping. Supposedly, Terry committed a crime against his family, which he's holding over her head. Because of these interactions, Ben decides that maybe he should look into Elvira's case and work with Quinlan to finally figure out who took his aunt's life. Since Ben is a private investigator, he keeps things neat and nice, like creating a list as to who could lead him to the person who hurt Elvira. Could it have been his mother Heidi, his uncle Gianni, Terry, Finnegan, Udell, or Wanda? Ben knows that he's gotta take his time and decides to look into Finnegan Burke first, since Finnegan was assigned to the case. Quinlan is like, I got you. But she fails to tell Ben that she's also a nasty girl and that his father is a nasty boy because she and Ben's father Gianni are committing adultery, confirming that the Russo family is a screwed up bunch. Welcome to the second week of the In Times Like These recap. Now let's get into this, starting with our neighborhood drug dealer, Zeke. Once again, we find Zeke selling that poison in the schoolhouse. Yulissa almost catches him, but points out that it seems like he's making new friends. Zeke deflects what she saw, telling Yulissa how he knows that she's Nichelle's younger sister. She tells Zeke to drop the choir boy act, and wants to know what his intentions are with her older sister, whether he's looking for something serious or whether he's just looking to have some fun. Of course, Nichelle comes to Zeke's rescue and tells Yulissa to back off. Nichelle invites Zeke to this back-to-school house party that she's been invited to. At first, Zeke hesitates, but he eventually decides to go. Zeke gets in contact with one of his drug-dealing buddies, telling him that they might get more people hooked on the stuff they're selling. Though Yulissa doesn't know what Zeke is up to, she lets it slip to Vanessa that Nichelle is interested in some guy, but doesn't go into detail. Yulissa goes on to express how she doesn't have good vibes about Zeke because of his zodiac sign. But Vanessa explains how she goes to God directly for guidance, and doesn't look for guidance from the stars that God created. Speaking of Vanessa, Max is still feeling her, but she's still not feeling him. In order to get Vanessa to feel the same way that he feels about her, Max goes to his father Gianni for guidance. Heidi overhears Max's struggle to win Vanessa's heart, telling her son to leave it alone, especially since Vanessa, who is a born-again Christian, doesn't want to have a relationship with a Catholic. Yet, Gianni tells Max to ignore everything Heidi says and to keep on pursuing Vanessa, assuming that she'll eventually fall for him. Instead, Vanessa gets more annoyed, warning Max that if he tries pursuing her one more time, she'll get her dad involved, which is something neither of them want, since her father Jeremiah overheard her and JJ speaking about how Max pursued her once again. Jeremiah isn't having it, but though Vanessa tries to get her father to leave it alone, Jeremiah is adamant about making the message clear to Max. While all of this is going on, JJ, once again, hears laughter in his head, but while he's suffering in his room, he hears voices in his head speaking to him. Once again, Max isn't the only person who has eyes for Vanessa. Keeve also has a thing for her as well, and goes as far as to gift her with a teddy bear which records her in her room, while JJ hears laughter in the bathroom. But again, JJ would hear laughter earlier on when he checked on Yvette after the fake AI image of her mother Wanda, posing like a nasty girl. Yvette gives JJ the cold shoulder, which causes him to lash out on her, telling Yvette that she could never say that he never tried to be a friend to her. As for Wanda, she's not only concerned about Yvette's feelings about this, but is out for blood as to whoever made the image to begin with. When Yvette speaks with Wanda and Udell, she almost lets it slip that the photo makes her reputation worse, and she can't let her parents know that she has a reputation of being a nasty girl herself. So she just expresses how she feels this pressure being their daughter, since she doesn't know which path to take. Yet, Udell and Wanda explain to Yvette that she shouldn't have to feel pressure about taking over either of their separate businesses. Once again, Quinlan and Gianni are out here committing adultery, as she tells Gianni that she plans to interview Finnegan Burke for Elvira's documentary, since he was the detective assigned to Elvira's case all those years ago. Gianni asks why she would waste her time since Finnegan never got an arrest, but Quinlan states how the smallest thing helps, pointing out that his district attorney wife, who he's cheating on with Quinlan, would agree with her. Gianni tells Quinlan that he wants to put his wife out of his mind while the two of them spend time together. He goes on to encourage Quinlan to interview Finnegan if she thinks it's best. Then she gets a call from Ben, who has no idea that she's having an affair with his father, and Gianni has no idea that Quinlan is helping his son solve Elvira's case. But what makes things worse is that Gianni asks who's calling her. Quinlan lies, saying that Zeke is calling her, wanting privacy, but he's confused as to why she needs privacy in the first place. She makes the excuse that the call will probably end up becoming an argument, which she doesn't want him listening to. Finally, alone in her bathroom, Ben asks Quinlan if she's ready to question Finnegan, telling her not to procrastinate. After getting off the phone with Ben and having Gianni out of her apartment, she makes a call to Finnegan's office. The two of them meet one another. At first, Finnegan is reluctant about it since he doesn't want an angry mob after him when he speaks out. As for Quinlan, she convinces Finnegan that he will just simply tell his side of the story when it came to the initial investigation of Elvira's past. Since Finnegan agreed to take part in the documentary, Ben urges Quinlan not to mess up the interview with Finnegan. Because she's impatient with him to leave the apartment because she's going to spend some time with his father, and offended by the remark, she tells Ben not to disrespect her in her apartment and assures him that she won't mess up the interview at all. While Finnegan gloats to Terry about his part in the documentary, she expresses how nervous she is about that since she believes it will only risk making their family lose any sort of privacy. But Finnegan tells Terry, "You're annoying and I never listen to you, so why would I listen to you now?" Since Finnegan still plans to take part in this documentary, she calls Isidore. The two meet and she tells Isidore how she worries that Finnegan taking part in the documentary will only reveal the crime she committed against Isidore's family. Isidore believes that Terry is worrying over nothing and urges her to focus on the nursing scholarship in Elvira's name. Speaking of the scholarship, Isidore informs his family how everything is set to hold the event to launch the scholarship at Theodosius's palace. Since the idea of the scholarship was stolen from Gianni, he complains. Again, Heidi expresses how tired she is of hearing her husband complain, while Gianni accuses Heidi of being an unsupportive wife, encouraging her to ask Finnegan to meet her in her office, reminiscing about their affair back in the day, telling each other what drew them to one another. Yet, while Heidi meets with her former lover, Gianni vents to Quinlan about his issue with Isidore and Heidi. But Quinlan gets Gianni to admit that he stayed married to Heidi because their marriage is rooted in their respect for one another. Yet they get involved with different people, because while Heidi and Finnegan reminisce, think about their toxic marriages and their attraction to one another, the two reignite their affair, making Heidi a nasty girl once again. Welcome to the third week of the In Times Like These recap. Now let's get into this, starting with JJ Dorval, who is continuing to struggle with hearing voices in his head. Shelly, who noticed how he rushed upstairs, decides to check on her son. JJ tries to tell his mother that she has nothing to worry about, but when he's left alone again, he questions whether demons are torturing him, but all he hears the voices say is how stupid he is. Yvette attempts to apologize to JJ for being harsh with him when he was only trying to be nice about the situation with the fake AI image of her mother. Instead, Kiev interjects, basically telling Yvette to back off. On top of that, JJ is still being tormented by the voices in his head, causing him to snap for a second. Eventually, he tells Yvette that it's best to leave him alone. As for Kiev, he continues to tell JJ that a girl with Yvette's reputation doesn't deserve to have friends. JJ's father, Jeremiah Dorval Sr., is sick and tired of Max Russo pursuing his daughter, Vanessa. In order to stop this once and for all, Jeremiah goes to the Russo estate, confronting Gianni about Max's constant pursuit of Vanessa. For Gianni, he feels like there is no harm done in it, telling Jeremiah that Vanessa would be lucky to have a boyfriend like Max. Jeremiah clearly doesn't agree, but when Max catches sight of what's going on, Jeremiah forbids Max from getting anywhere near Vanessa. This offends Gianni. Then he makes a call to someone to make sure that Jeremiah faces the consequences. And Jeremiah sure did pay the price, since he and Shelly walked into their HVAC business being ransacked. Looking into the surveillance footage, they saw someone who wore a hoodie and a mask to trash the place. But Jeremiah was certain that Gianni was behind it. But there was also no proof to show to the police. Even though Jeremiah wants to see Gianni pay, Shelly pleads with her husband to leave it in God's hands. Devontae finds out from Jeremiah that Gianni had someone trash Jeremiah's place of business. Even though Jeremiah doesn't have any desire to get back at Gianni, Devontae plans to make sure that Gianni pays for what he did. Devontae sets up a meeting with Isidore, telling him that he'll no longer hold the event to celebrate the scholarship in Elvira's name if he doesn't get Gianni to offer his business associate an apology or pay him money that his business associate is owed. Isidore is angered, unaware that Jeremiah is Devontae's business associate, questions what Gianni did in the first place. Devontae tells Isidore to ask Gianni himself. At the Russo Jewelers headquarters, Isidore charges into his brother's office, demanding answers. Unlike his problematic family, Max approaches Vanessa, informs her about her dad coming over the estate, forbidding him from speaking with Vanessa. Max tells Vanessa that he'll grant her dad's wishes, pouring out his heart, telling her how sorry he is for the trouble he has caused her. Vanessa forgives Max, telling him how she's sorry for treating him a bit too harshly, and how she wishes that it never had to come to all of this. Max expresses how he wishes the same thing, and that he would have liked for the two of them to have become friends. Vanessa reminds Max how he wanted more than friendship, and how they wouldn't be able to have that sort of relationship since their beliefs are completely different. Vanessa explains to Yulissa how Max is no longer bothering her, but only feels sorry that his feelings are hurt in the process, but also feels sorry that he doesn't really know the truth about obtaining eternal life. This causes Yulissa to ask Vanessa if she thinks she's going to hell too, since the two friends don't share the same belief either. Vanessa explains that Jesus died on the cross so that people wouldn't have to go to hell when they die, and all they have to do is repent of their sins and trust in Jesus Christ alone to save them. When Yulissa walks off, Vanessa prays that Yulissa's heart will remain open. From what it looks like, Vanessa's prayers have been heard since Yulissa's heart hasn't been shut, telling her mother Isabel how she's been thinking about where she would go after she dies. Isabel tells Yulissa not to worry about it, but Nichelle overhears the bit where Vanessa told Yulissa about hell, and Nichelle was not having it, telling Yulissa that she doesn't need a friend like Vanessa. Yulissa tells Nichelle how she'll remain friends with Vanessa while Nichelle plots against Vanessa. In the bathroom, Yulissa throws up, but the thing is that she's not throwing up over something she ate, but she's making herself do it. Other than having issues with Vanessa, Nichelle is getting to know Zeke more. Kinda. Zeke and Nichelle attend the house party that she invited him to, where he sells drugs. Not only that, Zeke shoots his shot with Nichelle, attempting to kiss her, but she blocks him, reminding Zeke that they're not on a date. Zeke tells Nichelle how they'll need to set a date, but Zeke doesn't let Nichelle know that he watches X-rated content in his spare time or in the school library. He's interrupted by Nichelle, who wonders if he was mad at her for not allowing him to kiss her at the party, since they haven't been texting like before. Zeke assures Nichelle that he's just been occupied, watching X-rated content and selling drugs. Again, he can't let Nichelle know that, so he lies, telling Nichelle that he mows people's lawns to make a quick buck. When Zeke is alone again, it's revealed that his drug-dealing buddy's name is Ronnie, who calls Zeke to explain how the boss is happy with the progress made. Ben meets with his family at the Russo estate, asking if they were fully honest about what they said to Quinlan in the documentary. Despite some people in the house keeping secrets, Lorenzo is offended by this, asking Ben not to come back to the mansion until he learns some respect. We'll get to those hidden secrets in just a bit, because Quinlan interviews Finnegan, asking him about his experience investigating Elvira's case. He admits that there wasn't a clear person of interest in how someone fell through the cracks. People like Elvira's secret lover, who she cheated on Udell with back in the day. This piece of information throws Quinlan off guard. When she approaches Ben about this, Ben tells Quinlan how he's not surprised that Elvira cheated on Udell, remembering a conversation between Wanda and Elvira when he was younger, where Wanda expressed that Udell would never forgive her for hurting him the way she did. But Ben is certain that Finnegan held from Quinlan the fact that the department has Elvira's diary in custody, since he couldn't find the diary when he searched for it as a middle schooler. Ben plans to confront Finnegan about it. He does just that. Except Finnegan claims that he knows nothing about a diary. When Ben expresses that he searched for the diary years prior and couldn't find it in Elvira's room, Finnegan is adamant that it was never in possession of the police department. Since Ben remembers that the person who took Elvira's life ran out after committing the crime, he figures that if Finnegan is telling the truth, then someone took the diary after the crime was committed. What's in this diary, you might ask? Well, no one is truly certain. What is certain is that the secrets that Elvira took with her to the grave are hidden in that diary. Could the diary expose the fact that Finnegan and Heidi were out here creeping back in the day and reignited their affair recently, risking not only both of their careers, but the families they've built up? Heidi isn't willing to take the risk. The problem is that she can't control herself around Finnegan. Finnegan tells Heidi that Ben is looking into Elvira's case and that he's searching for her lost diary. Knowing what's most likely written in there, Heidi tells Finnegan that if the diary is ever found, then it will open Pandora's box. Finnegan urges Heidi to get close to her son Ben and make sure that he doesn't try to locate this long-lost diary. Then they proceed to hook up again. Ben confronts Wanda in her office at Confidence Designs about a recording that has been roaming around the internet, believing in her innocence. I'll discuss what sort of recording it is in a bit. He proceeds to ask if she has any idea as to where the diary could be located, lying about the fact that he recently looked for the diary when in fact he searched for it years prior. He also informs Wanda that he knows Elvira cheated on Udell, asking if she knew who Elvira's lover was. Wanda states that she doesn't know where the diary could be and claims to not know who Elvira cheated on Udell with, and asks for Ben's help to find out who's been sabotaging her. Ben agrees to help, but when he leaves, Wanda makes a call to a mysterious person, stating how they're in huge trouble. Back to this recording. Earlier on, Wanda discovers that there is a fake audio recording of her stating that she's only doing the runway show, which is supposed to be a tribute to Elvira, for her own selfish gain. After this recording spreads all over the internet, she receives a call from Lorenzo Russo. Wanda arrives at the Russo estate, where she's met by most of the Russo men, who are giving her the side eye. She tries to convince them that the recording is fake. Before she can continue to plead her case, Udell comes along, diffuses the situation, gets Wanda out of that estate quickly, then admits that Wanda is facing a real threat and promises to help her stop this threat. What neither of them know is that Essidor's son, Alan, is the threat they're trying to uncover. Alan is after Confidence Designs, but it's not clear as to why he's after Wanda's company. Welcome to the 4th week of the In Times Like These recap. Now let's get into this, starting with Nichelle, who is called by Zeke to set up a date. Except Nichelle's not in a lovey-dovey mood. She expresses to her wannabe boo thing how upset she is about Vanessa telling Ulissa that Ulissa would go to hell, planning to get Vanessa to end the friendship since Ulissa is too kind to do so. It also seems like Nichelle could be worried about the wrong thing because she's oblivious to the fact that her younger sister is making herself throw up in the high school bathroom. And when she's approached by Vanessa, she asks about how the Bible stated how people will have new bodies. Vanessa explains that those who give their life to Christ will receive new bodies in the afterlife, wondering why Ulissa is concerned about having a new body. Ulissa claims that she's only curious, then Nichelle comes around, telling Vanessa to stay away from Ulissa. Vanessa doesn't shrivel and tells Nichelle that she won't stop being friends with Ulissa until Ulissa says their friendship is over. Nichelle is like, bet. But before she completes her master plan, Nichelle tells Ulissa that she apologizes about how she reacted when Vanessa shared the gospel message with her. The sisters seemingly make peace, but while Ulissa yet again makes herself throw up in the bathroom, Nichelle unlocks Ulissa's phone, posing as her, telling Vanessa that their friendship is over. Feeling good about herself, she proceeds to call Zeke to ask when they're going on a date while acting like she didn't just end her sister's friendship behind her back. Vanessa vents to Shelly about her supposed friendship with Ulissa ending. Shelly comforts her daughter, reminding her that the Christian life comes with sacrifices, and losing friends is one of those sacrifices. Shelly encourages her daughter to pray for Ulissa's salvation, stating that if Ulissa gets saved, the two would be sisters in a spiritual sense. While Vanessa is upset over losing her best friend because of a huge misunderstanding, I guess nothing can be worse than Alan calling an AI programmer he hired to help break Wanda and Udel's alliance so that the couple won't figure out what they're up to, asking the AI programmer to make a specific portrait of Elvira. What sort of portrait, you may ask? Well, Udel receives a portrait of how Elvira might have looked in present day if she were still alive, and if they were still together. Wanda sees the portrait, certain that it came from the person who's been sabotaging her, and demands that Udel throw it away. At first, Udel is reluctant, but Wanda threatens to throw away the portrait herself. Udel agrees to get rid of it, but tries to be slick and takes a picture of the portrait before he has a chance to get rid of the physical copy. Alan's plan seems to be working as he asks his grandmother Clarice if she would quote-unquote help Wanda out by practically buying out Confidence Designs from Wanda. Clarice can't see herself doing something like that, especially since Wanda was Elvira's best friend and would be taking away something that Wanda built from scratch. Alan tried to tell his grandmother that she'd be a co-owner, but Clarice refuses, telling Alan to never mention that to her again. Since that didn't work, Alan asks the programmer to make an AI image of Elvira to somehow ruin Wanda's runway. Maybe this AI image has something to do with the email Wanda got from Elvira, which creeps her out because dead people aren't supposed to send emails. Before Wanda received creepy emails posing to be her dead best friend, she had a few things to say to Devante Torres, telling him how Ben knows that Elvira cheated on Udel back in the day, and how he could figure out that Elvira's secret lover was Devante this whole time. And if Ben keeps on digging deeper, it will only be a matter of time before he discovers the truth. Devante encourages Wanda to keep Ben from finding out the truth, reminding her how they both have a lot to lose since Udel never knew who Elvira cheated on him with, and she kept that knowledge to herself throughout their entire marriage. Quinlan approaches Wanda about taking part in Elvira's documentary. Wanda is reluctant, but when Quinlan tries to persuade Wanda to get involved with the documentary, Wanda decides not to do so. While Quinlan has been rejected by Wanda, Ben meets with Udel, asking him if he has any idea where Elvira's diary could be located, informing Udel that the diary was lost, and if he knew who Elvira cheated on him with. Udell answers that he doesn't know anything about the diary and how he still has no idea as to who Elvira cheated on him with. Quinlan meets with Ben, certain that Wanda is hiding something. What could Wanda be hiding? Well, if you've been paying attention this entire time, then you might know. At the moment, Ben and Quinlan have a feeling that Wanda didn't want to take part in the documentary because she actually knew who Elvira cheated on Udell with, not telling Udell. They both see Ben helping Wanda find out who's been sabotaging her as a way to get close to Wanda. Quinlan asks Udell if he'd like to take part in the documentary. Udell is reluctant since he and Elvira didn't end their relationship on good terms. She assures Udell not to worry about the Russo family. He tells Quinlan about his initial fears of revealing that Elvira cheated on him, but since he's older and doesn't fear the Russos like he used to, Udell agrees to speak on the documentary, and he also explains how he will tell the whole truth about their relationship. But when he tells Wanda about this, she is not happy at all. Wanda tries to convince Udell not to take part in the documentary, expressing her fears of the consequences of being a part of it. Like how she's being sabotaged, how the public would react to Udell exposing his and Elvira's dirty laundry, how their teenage daughter Yvette would react, and how the Russo family would react. Despite Wanda expressing her concerns, Udell doesn't change his mind, annoying Wanda even more. Wanda hasn't been the only person annoyed this week. Essidor has also been through it. He confronts Gianni about Devante threatening to cancel the scholarship event at Theodosius' palace. Gianni admits to what he did to Jeremiah, hiring someone to trash the man's place of business, but refuses to do so as Devante asks by offering an apology or money to Jeremiah, encouraging Essidor to get Isabel to change Devante's mind, since Essidor supposedly used to manipulate Isabel when he was her man. Essidor follows his brother's advice, seeing if he can still charm Isabel like he did back in the day. Maybe not, since Isabel doesn't seem happy that he had her come all the way over to meet him to make sure that Devante doesn't cancel the scholarship event at Theodosius' palace. She points out that she knew that Essidor didn't create this scholarship out of the kindness of his heart, but to score points with his parents to become the next in line to run Russo Jewelers. Isabel expresses how she'll always take her husband's side and that the meeting with him was a waste of time. The weird thing is that when Isabel leaves, Essidor makes a comment about her not being the one to lecture him about taking vows seriously. I wonder what that's all about. Essidor introduces himself to Shelley, asking for Jeremiah. Shelley tells Essidor to leave because his kind, the Russo kind, ain't welcome here. He doesn't seem to get the message, and Jeremiah finally meets Essidor, who seemingly tries to right Gianni's wrongs. Jeremiah doesn't buy the remorseful act, telling Essidor that he's not getting in between Essidor's issues with Devante. This angers Essidor, then he storms out, making Shelley worried that two members of one family are their enemies. Jeremiah assures his wife that they could rely on God to protect them from the Russo family's attacks. But since Jeremiah knows that Devante got involved when he specifically asked him to leave it alone, Jeremiah confronts Devante at Theodosius' palace, while Devante was reminiscing about the beginning of his affair with Elvira, while he was a 22-year-old married man and father, and Elvira was 17. Let me not get off track. Jeremiah tells Devante how his actions have made Essidor his enemy. Devante apologizes, but assures Jeremiah that if Essidor makes any attacks, then he'll have his back. Essidor, running out of options, asks Terry to convince Devante to continue to hold the event at Theodosius' palace. Terry refuses to, asking Essidor to do what he does best and to manipulate Devante into keeping the event at the hotel, giving Essidor an idea. When Devante tells Isabel about how he's threatening to cancel the scholarship event, Isabel informs Devante that Essidor approached her to change his mind. This angers Devante, knowing that Essidor did this behind his back, influencing him to make up his mind to cancel the event. Essidor arrives at the Dorval estate when Jeremiah tells Essidor to get out. Essidor does his best to get a specific reaction from Jeremiah, like assault, but Jeremiah doesn't budge, demanding that Essidor leaves. When Essidor meets with Terry at the hospital parking lot, he urges her to punch him, telling her to use 20 years of anger from him blackmailing her as inspiration, inspiring her some more by saying that if she doesn't do as he says, then he'll just blackmail her some more, making Terry attack him. But how is this supposed to affect Jeremiah? Welcome to the 5th week of the In Times Like These recap. Now let's get into this, starting with Essidor, the liar Russo, who is visited by his son Alan in the hospital after Terry Burke beat Essidor up because Essidor asked her to. Instead of telling his son the truth, Essidor tells Alan that he was beat up by Jeremiah Dorval. As for Alan, he tells his father, "I feel bad for what you're going through and all, but can you help me buy Confidence Designs?" We'll get to what Essidor's answer was later on, but while this is going on, Jeremiah is arrested in his house in front of his family. Jeremiah's son JJ is not handling this well at all, since he's being tormented by the voices in his head, telling him that his father won't come back and that it's his fault his father was arrested. As for Shelley, she is referred to Udell Mitchell by Devante. Shelley fills Udell in on her family's feud with the Russo family and how this feud had landed her husband in a jail cell. Believing that Jeremiah is innocent of what he's being accused of, Udell agrees to take the case, knowing that it would most likely make him an enemy of the Russos. Essidor meets with Devante Torres, telling him how he has no choice but to hold the nursing scholarship event honoring Elvira because it would be a bad look if he drops it, especially when nursing students, Elvira, and Essidor's assault are involved. Essidor agrees not to press charges against Jeremiah, but to make sure to keep it from looking like the setup that it is, Essidor is still planning to file a lawsuit against Jeremiah in hopes that Jeremiah will lose his business. Vanessa is approached by Max, who isn't supposed to be around her, telling her how sorry that he is that his family is responsible for the pain her family is going through with Jeremiah's arrest. She tells Max how none of this would have happened if he didn't pursue her in the first place. He wants to make it right, but Vanessa tells Max that he can't clean this mess up and wants nothing to do with him, since she sees that he comes from a family of vultures. Devante tells Jeremiah of Essidor's plan to run Jeremiah's business to the ground, but Jeremiah is ready for a fight. Yulissa Torres is ignored by Vanessa, unaware that her sister Nichelle made Vanessa think that Yulissa wanted nothing to do with her. This causes Yulissa to make herself throw up in the bathroom. Then she's approached by Nichelle, telling her sister that her friendship with Vanessa is over. Nichelle tells Yulissa that she doesn't need Vanessa in her life and that she'll always be around, looking like she's having a bit of a guilty conscience because she's the one who caused her sister's pain. Since Ben still has been trying to look into Elvira's case, Finnegan impatiently urges his lover Heidi to get on top of things when it comes to getting close to Ben so that he wouldn't keep searching for Elvira's diary. Quinlan tells her lover Gianni how Elvira cheated on Udell back in the day and that he will reveal this on the documentary. Gianni isn't pleased, telling Quinlan that he'll tell his family the troubling news. Gianni, who is with his family at the hospital visiting Essidor, tells his family the troubling news and they are not pleased either. Lorenzo confronts Udell about his plan to expose Elvira being unfaithful on the documentary. Udell tries to assure Lorenzo that he's not doing it to be malicious, but to help Elvira's case, but Lorenzo isn't hearing it. He goes on to say how he can't blame Elvira for cheating on Udell, thankful that she didn't get the chance to marry Udell. Heidi attempts to get close to Ben, visiting Ben's condo to tell him about Essidor's incident, even inviting him over to the family estate for the holidays. But he gives his mother the cold shoulder, and when she leaves, Ben is certain that she only came by to keep him from digging into the past where Elvira is concerned. remembering that Heidi and Finnegan seem to be hiding secrets of their own, unaware that his mommy has been doing the nasty with his former boss, the police commissioner. Ben meets with Wanda and they are shocked as they watch the video of an AI version of Elvira, looking and talking like Elvira. This disturbing video was sent to Wanda from the anonymous person posing as Elvira in an email. After watching the video, both Wanda and Ben are troubled. Ben tells Quinlan how he saw the AI video of Elvira and how it bothered him, expressing how much he misses his late aunt. It seems like the two have a moment, as Quinlan comforts Ben, but he doesn't seem to appreciate the gesture for long, as he states that he'll feel better knowing who made the video. Wanda tells Devante, who wants progress about Ben digging into the past, about the video, and she assures him that since she and Ben are connected by Elvira, that this is what will bring her and Ben close enough where she can convince him to leave the past in the past, where he won't have to discover that Devante was Elvira's secret lover. After hearing about Udell's part in the documentary where he will reveal to the world that Elvira had a secret lover, Isidore agrees to help his son Alan take confidence designs away from Wanda. Ben informs Wanda that the email was tracked to the local university, Albert McDowell University Library, and that anyone in campus could have sent the email. Wanda is discouraged that they couldn't find the person, but Ben tells Wanda how they know the person sabotaging her is in Valley Park, and that it could be someone she personally knows. Only if they knew that the main culprit was closer than they realized. Isidore and Alan meet up with Wanda as they ask her for shares in the company, making it seem like they're being helpful since she had experienced recent scandal. But Wanda sees right through them, refusing to give them the chance to take her business from her. When she kicks the two out of her office, Isidore tells Alan how he's ready for war. Welcome to the 6th week of the In Times Like These recap. Now let's get into this, starting with our new favorite young couple, Zeke and Nichelle. These two lovebirds finally go on their first date at the bowling alley. Since Nichelle beat Zeke, she promises to go easy on him if their next date involves games, asking Zeke what sort of places he missed out on as a kid. When he answers her question, Nichelle begins to ask Zeke if it's because his parents couldn't afford to take him to such fun places. After Zeke replies that they didn't have the time, she asks what his parents were busy doing. Deflecting the question, Zeke asks if they're official since she agreed to go out with him. Because they like one another, Nichelle kisses Zeke, stating that they're official. Like official lovebirds, they kiss each other in the high school hallways whenever they see each other. Nichelle's younger sister, Yulissa, catches the lovebirds and doesn't have nice warm feelings about this at all. Nichelle informs a furious Yulissa that she and Zeke are dating. When Zeke gives the sisters time alone, Yulissa warns Nichelle that she doesn't know what she's getting herself into with Zeke, stating how he still gives her bad vibes and would hurt Nichelle. Nichelle doesn't listen. Then Yvette approaches Zeke out of nowhere, telling him how word has been going around about his illegal deeds of selling drugs to school kids, telling him that he might want to keep that under control if he doesn't want Nichelle to find out. Devante and Isabel are informed that Nichelle is dating Zeke. All is well until Devante hears about Zeke's economic status, because he's not happy that a daughter of his would be dating below her financial class. Nichelle tries defending Zeke, but Devante tells Nichelle to let Zeke defend himself and meet the whole family for dinner. Zeke, who is interrupted by his girlfriend while he watches X-rated films, is informed by Nichelle that his parents want to meet him, but she tells him that he has nothing to worry about. She encourages Zeke to just be himself and that she'll give him pointers on how to impress her father. When she leaves, Zeke watches X-rated films again, but is caught by Yvette, telling him that if he and Nichelle haven't gone all the way, then she can keep him busy since she's kept other boyfriends busy. Despite how he just got with Nichelle, the temptation is too strong for Zeke, and he yields to temptation. Yvette's parents are too busy with their own problems to know that she's out here hooking up with other girls' boyfriends. Her mother, Wanda, informs Udell that Isidore and Alan have asked for her shares to Confidence Designs, which means they want her business, and tells Udell that Isidore and Alan wouldn't be going after Confidence Designs in the first place if he didn't agree to participate in Elvira's documentary to reveal that Elvira cheated on him back in the day. Udell tells Wanda that the Russos would have gone after them regardless since he's defending Jeremiah, but Wanda gets even more angry. Wanda finds out that the Russos have made a public statement stating that they don't support that her runway will be used to honor Elvira, but she refuses to cower to the Russos' demands and still plans to honor her late best friend with her runway. She gets another video message from AI Elvira stating that she's stomping on Elvira's grave by proceeding with the runway show to honor her. Alan commands the AI programmer to send Udell another video message of Elvira, since Alan didn't get the response from Udell that he wanted, since he needs Wanda and Udell to dislike one another so that Udell wouldn't have Wanda's back as he and Isidore proceed to go after her. Alan, like the whiny brat he is, gets exactly what he wants when Udell gets another message from AI Elvira, warning him that if she doesn't get a response, then he'll never hear from her again. Wanda shows Ben the new video she was sent and states that since the runway will be starting in the following week, then they must find out who is sabotaging her stat. Once Ben asks Wanda to think about any enemies she might have, she points out Isidore and Alan coming after Confidence Designs, believing that they're only coming after her because Udell spoke on the documentary about Elvira cheating on him. Ben, calling Wanda stupid, which she doesn't appreciate, tells Wanda that it's clear that his uncle and his cousin have been behind the AI attacks all along. Ben is kinda right, Alan has been behind this all along. We still don't know why, but Isidore has no idea that Alan had anything to do with the AI attacks. Then Ben explains to Wanda how they need to gather evidence against his uncle and cousin in order to stop their attacks. Isidore asks Terry if she can inform him about what sort of drugs can be used to make people anxious and or paranoid. Not wanting to cause someone serious harm, Terry reminds Isidore that she took an oath not to cause someone serious harm. He reminds Terry that she already caused serious harm by taking the life of his late grandfather, which caused his late grandmother to die of a broken heart soon after. She reminds Isidore that his grandfather was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and that his grandfather refused to allow that disease to take his life. Isidore still doesn't care, reminds Terry that his father wouldn't care and would go after her since she's technically responsible for Lorenzo losing both of his parents. Terry is given no choice but to give Isidore what he wants. Wanda isn't the only one who's been attacked by the Russos. The Dorval family are trying to deal with attacks made from Isidore. Jeremiah informs his wife Shelley and his father Raymond that Isidore is suing them for all that the HVAC business is worth. Though the family is ready to fight, Raymond encourages Jeremiah to pray for Isidore, since God says in his word that they should pray for their enemies. Knowing that his father is right, Jeremiah and Shelley pray for the strength to fight against Isidore, and reluctantly ask for Isidore's heart to change. Devante informs his wife Isabel that he won't be canceling the scholarship event which was used to honor Elvira, informing her how Isidore gave him no choice, either hold the event or risk getting public scandal by siding with Isidore's quote-unquote attacker. Of course, Isabel is disgusted to hear about Isidore's actions. Gianni thanks Isidore for going after Jeremiah, since Gianni still hasn't gotten over how he feels like Jeremiah disrespected him and Max a while back. Isidore reminds his brother that despite their issues with one another, he wouldn't let outsiders attack their family. After this exchange, Gianni calls a mysterious person to invite this individual to the scholarship event and surprise Isidore. I wonder who it could be. While Isidore and Alan discuss going after Confidence Designs board members to convince them that Wanda isn't fit to run the company, Max shows up, asking Isidore what was said for Jeremiah to beat him up. Essidor doesn't reveal what was said, because in fact, nothing was really said since Essidor lied and Max is certain of it. Yet Essidor tells Max that Jeremiah has a temper, reminding Max that loyalty is very important to the Russo family. Jeremiah and Udell have a meeting about how to go against Essidor, informing Udell that he knows about the Russos' disapproval of Wanda's runway show, but Udell assures Jeremiah that he's not to blame, telling Jeremiah about his role in Elvira's documentary. Then Udell hears from Jeremiah how Devante informed him that Essidor plans to make J. Dorval HVAC services non-existent. Udell informs Jeremiah that his plan is to attack Essidor's character, so that the court is convinced that he lied about Jeremiah beating him up. Isabel confronts Essidor about putting Devante in a corner over the sham of the scholarship event at Theodosius' palace. Enraged, Essidor tells Isabel how he's tired of seeing her act like such a moral person, and always defending Devante when she cheated on Devante. Most of all, cheating on Devante with Essidor. But again, Devante shouldn't be mad since he cheated on Isabel too, with Elvira, who was 17. So Essidor tells Isabel how hurt he was when she acted like their one-night stand never happened, assuring her that he would still take her back in a heartbeat if she ever gets sick of Devante. Aww, Essidor does have a heart. But she walks off. Ben tells Quinlan about his suspicion of Heidi after her visit to his condo. Quinlan encourages Ben to figure out what she and Finnegan are possibly hiding by getting close to Heidi. Ben is reluctant but agrees to follow Quinlan's advice. Ben visits Heidi in her office, claiming that he's only going to spend the holidays with the family, only for Max's sake. Suddenly, Finnegan shows up. Ben's like, "Why are you here?" Then Heidi makes up a story about calling Finnegan to her office to discuss a delicate case. When Ben leaves, Heidi slaps Finnegan, telling Heidi, as a district attorney, "Don't you think that it's illegal to hit an officer, most of all the police commissioner?" Heidi's not bothered by it one bit. She rants at Finnegan for showing up to the office while Ben was present. Finnegan tells Heidi how he didn't know Ben would show up. On the other hand, he tells Heidi that she has exceeded his expectations, encouraging her to continue to get close to Ben, so that he doesn't look for Elvira's diary and figure out that Finnegan and Heidi are having an adulterous affair. Ben tells Quinlan how he's certain that Heidi and Finnegan are hiding something, especially when he doesn't buy that Heidi made an appointment with Finnegan. He plans to present himself as the son Heidi always wanted, in order to get close enough to find out what Heidi and Finnegan are hiding. Udell is interviewed for the documentary, telling Quinlan how he began dating Elvira, how they ended their relationship due to Elvira cheating, and that he still has no idea as to who Elvira cheated on him with. When she asks if Wanda knew, Udell believes that Wanda is just as clueless as he is. Udell, my guy, only if you knew. Welcome to the 7th week of the In Times Like These recap. Now let's get into this, starting with JJ Dorval, who hears the voice in his head, wanting desperately for the voice to leave. Elissa approaches him. Then they discuss how Vanessa never told her why she cut her off. JJ remembered hearing Vanessa tell him that she got a text from Elissa ending their friendship. The voice tells JJ that he's confused, as Elissa is adamant that she never sent a text. Aggravated by Elissa's side of the story and the voice in his head, JJ tells Elissa to have her own one-on-one conversation with Vanessa. JJ wants clarification from Vanessa that she got a text from Elissa, but he tells Vanessa how Elissa genuinely seemed confused. Once again, the voice in JJ's mind messes with his perception of reality. He snaps at Vanessa, and Shelly walks in, asking what's going on. JJ storms off, not thinking that his mother would believe him. Then he suffers in silence with the voice. Keith tells JJ how off he seems. I don't think Keith is one to talk since he still has that camera set up in Vanessa's room without her permission, and most importantly, without her knowledge. JJ tries to brush it off, but when Keith keeps pushing, JJ snaps at him, and that's when Vanessa comes and tells JJ to behave himself. While JJ storms off, he he hears the voice telling him that he's a bad friend and a bad brother. Keith tells Vanessa how sorry he is to hear about her dad, her friendship with Yulissa ending, and how he's willing to be her friend. Vanessa tells Keith that it will be best for him to leave since JJ's head isn't in the right place. When JJ notices that Keith is gone, he's angry at Vanessa for making Keith leave. Shelly expresses to Jeremiah how she notices a difference in JJ that she doesn't like, and it worries her, wondering if seeing Jeremiah arrested in the house made things worse for their son. Jeremiah promises Shelly that he'll assure JJ and Vanessa that they'll push through the lawsuit that Estor set up against him. JJ tells the voice, who he believes is a demon, to leave him alone, but the voice continues to torment him. Jeremiah knocks on JJ's door, and despite the voice ordering JJ not to allow his father in the room, JJ disobeys the voice's orders, trying to look like he's completely fine when Jeremiah asks his son if something's wrong. JJ claims to be doing okay, but Jeremiah apologizes for not checking up on JJ and even Vanessa after the arrest, and assures JJ that everything will be okay. When the voice tells JJ that everything won't be okay, and that God doesn't care about him, JJ snaps back that God has always taken care of their family. Unaware of what JJ is hearing, Jeremiah tells JJ how he's correct when he stated that God will always take care of their family. Alone, JJ reminds himself that God has always taken care of his family and always will. Zeke, our friendly neighborhood drug dealer, gets a text from Yvette telling him that they can be nasty anytime he'd like. Nichelle approaches Zeke, knowing that something is bothering him. Probably guilt that he already cheated on his girlfriend early on in their relationship. But Nichelle believes that Zeke is nervous about meeting her parents, and he plays along. Nichelle assures Zeke that everything will be fine and that he needs to be himself. And Zeke doesn't get comfort from that. Instead, he gets comfort from Yvette, and it's not how friends should comfort each other. Zeke arrives at the Torres penthouse for dinner. I guess Yvette took away those jitters he was feeling. Anyways, finally meeting Devante and Isabel. Devante asks Zeke what he sees in Nichelle and what Zeke plans to do for the future. Zeke expresses how kind Nichelle has been to him, then tells Devante how he would like to be a barber someday. Nichelle believes that Zeke did a great job, but Devante makes a call to a mysterious stranger, stating that he needs to speak with this person personally since it's a matter of life and death. The stranger who Devante was on the phone with is revealed to be a woman named Adaku, who happens to be the big boss, who Zeke is in fact selling drugs for. She asks what has him concerned. He begins to inform her that Zeke Franklin is dating Nichelle and wonders if Zeke also works for her, since it's revealed that Zeke's older sister Quinlan works for Adaku's legitimate business Global News Press. Adaku is able to confirm that Zeke is one of her small-time dealers. Then Devante asks Adaku if she could get Zeke to break things off with Nichelle. Adaku doesn't want Nichelle to get suspicious, but tells Devante that she'll make sure that Zeke knows he's dating a business associate, and that he will have to decide what to do. It doesn't seem like Devante likes that answer. What wasn't mentioned when Devante interrogated Zeke during dinner time is that after Yulissa finished her dinner, she made herself throw up everything she had just ate. Later on, this comes into play when Nichelle is about to go out with Zeke. Then Yulissa goes on to express her distrust of Zeke. This annoys Nichelle, telling Yulissa how Zeke has done everything in his power to prove that he's trustworthy, but Yulissa doesn't buy Zeke's act. Annoyed, Nichelle is about to leave to meet with Zeke, but Yulissa faints. At first, Nichelle doesn't take it seriously until Yulissa doesn't respond. Yulissa wakes up and is informed by Nichelle that she fainted. Nichelle plans to get her sister help, but Yulissa pleads with Nichelle not to mention the fainting to anyone, claiming that she hasn't been drinking a lot of water. Yulissa also guilts Nichelle into staying silent since Yulissa never mentioned to their parents anything about Zeke until Nichelle was ready. Reluctantly, Nichelle grants her sister's wishes. Quinlan asks her lover Gianni what he knows about Heidi and Finnegan's connection to one another, other than the fact that Heidi is the district attorney and Finnegan is the police commissioner. This causes Gianni to question why Quinlan wants to know. She makes up a claim about looking at their interviews for the documentary and lies about seeing them speak to one another at the Labor Day picnic. Gianni tells Quinlan how Heidi and Finnegan weren't really close. By now we all know that's not true. When Quinlan asks Gianni if Heidi and Finnegan would work close together to solve Elvira's case, Gianni states that Heidi never helped his late sister Elvira in life, and that Heidi wouldn't help Elvira after she passed. When Quinlan asks her lover to expound on that, he tells her to forget it and to just enjoy their adulterous time together. Isabel, who we recently found out has a 20-year secret of having a one-night stand with Isidore, is met by a mysterious young man in her penthouse who claims that he has every right to be there and how she should recognize him. When Isabel demands to know who this young man is, she's woken up by Devante, realizing that this strange interaction was only a dream. When he asks what the dream was about, she tells her husband not to worry about it. Gianni tells Heidi that he plans to surprise Isidore at the scholarship event. Heidi asks for specifics, but he refuses to tell her since she wouldn't help him get back at Isidore like he asked. This annoys Heidi, and Gianni isn't bothered, telling her how memorable the scholarship event will be. Then Ben appears. Ben informs his father Gianni that he'll be spending the holidays with the family. Lorenzo arrives, telling Ben that he'll decide who spends the holidays at his house. Ben tells his grandfather what he wants to hear, how he was out of line for accusing the family of secrets when it came to Elvira's case, and that he apologizes for it. Lorenzo accepts Ben's apology, and when Ben is gone, Clarice is happy that it seems like Ben is coming around. But again, we can't forget that Ben planned to be the model Russo son in order to gain Heidi's trust again, so that he could figure out what sort of secret she and Finnegan are hiding. Jeremiah expresses to his wife Shelley how he feels guilty that the employees of his HVAC business are at risk of losing their jobs. Shelley assures Jeremiah that the Lord will get them through this, and that Isidore won't be successful in his plan to take down their company. Max asks his older brother Ben to see if he could look into proving that Isidore lied about Jeremiah beating him up. At first, Ben is reluctant, especially since he's already busy with other things, and it seems like Max only wants to help since he can't seem to get over Vanessa. But Ben has a change of heart when he hears from Max that Isidore and Alan have been trying to get in contact with Confidence Design's board members. Ben is open to looking into Isidore lying about Jeremiah beating him up, as long as Max gives him information on Isidore and Alan's plans with Confidence Designs. Udell asks Wanda about Ben's progress with figuring out who has been sabotaging her. Wanda informs her husband how Ben believes that Isidore and Alan were behind the AI attacks all along, but we know how only Alan has been behind them all along. Udell wonders why she and Ben have been meeting without him. Not wanting to tell Udell about the AI video messages of Elvira, which makes no sense since Udell has been getting them too, but he also doesn't want to tell Wanda about them either. She makes up the excuse of him being busy with the law firm and Elvira's documentary, which she didn't want him to be a part of. She expresses how she needs Ben to gather the evidence before the runway takes place. Ben informs Wanda about what Max told him about Isidore and Alan trying to get in touch with the board members of Confidence Designs. Wanda doesn't like that Isidore and Alan are trying to get in touch with her board members, especially since she doesn't know what Isidore and Alan want to discuss with them. Ben sees this as a way of getting ahead of his uncle and cousin. Since Wanda's unsure whether the board members were already reached out to, she's unsure if she could trust them. The runway, held in Elvira's honor, has arrived. Udell and Yvette ask Wanda how she's feeling. After Wanda puts a brave face on in front of their daughter, Udell gets Wanda to express her true feelings about how worried she is that the runway will end in catastrophe. Udell tries to tell Wanda to stay positive, but just as Wanda is about to tell Udell something, probably about the AI videos of Elvira she's been sent, Isidore and Alan arrive. When Wanda and Udell demand that Alan and Isidore leave, Isidore informs Wanda how a board member invited them to come to spectate the runway event since it was held in Elvira's honor. Feeling like she has no choice but to let Isidore and Alan stay, Udell gives his wife a pep talk, telling her to be a wonderful host for the runway. When everything seems to be going well, Wanda is ready to show a presentation of Confidence Designs customers expressing how wearing the designs changed their lives. But AI Elvira shows up, telling Wanda how she's dishonoring her by making an event honoring her, despite her family's wishes not to host it in her name, and accuses Wanda of taking Elvira's life. Alan seems to be having the time of his life, seeing that his evil schemes have been accomplished, but I don't think Wanda would be too happy with him. Can't get enough of the crazy world of In Times Like These? Then treat yourself to a binge watch of In Times Like These. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. You're not ready for what's to come, but tune in anyways.